This should be another quick video. So the second section of this chapter is preparing your budget sheet. So pretty much what we're going to do is look at a example of a budget sheet, kind of figure out the ins and outs of it, and then for your homework you'll have to do an example of one, or not you create one. You'll have to take a sample that I give you and then make some calculations similar to how you might do in the future. So first thing, a budgeting sheet is just something used. It's almost like an outline of your monthly expenses. And sometimes things can vary month to month because your electric bill could be different, your like gas bill, water bill, those things can change. Like Wi-Fi, sometimes it's fixed, sometimes it depends on your usage, so sometimes that can change as well. But for the fixed expenses, we for things like rent, sometimes when you get Wi-Fi, it's just a fixed amount every month. Things like that are called fixed expenses because they're fixed. They don't move. So they don't change. And then sometimes you have annual expenses come out, which is stuff that comes out once a year. And that's really definition-wise, that's really all you need to know for that. So now let's look at an example of an actual budgeting sheet. And so when you're creating yours, you would want it to look similar to this. You would want to know your monthly living expenses. So that could be like groceries, your bills. These are all the bills that this person has. So you'd want to know like what your gas look like. How far do you go to work? How much will you spend a month on gas money? If you have a credit card, your credit card payment. If you just want some extra money, theater, stuff like that. This is all stuff you could calculate for your living expenses. And then at the bottom, this is what you'll end up having to do. You want that total amount because that total amount's going to come out of your monthly budget. So that's going to be an amount you subtract from how much you actually will make that money, your net income for that month. Then you're going to want to have your fixed expenses, which that's like rent, car loan, and savings. If you want to take out a certain number of a certain amount each month to save, you could calculate that too. And then you want to add all those up. So that'll be like your fixed expense total. Then you would have your monthly living expense total. Then you want to calculate your annual expenses, which is like life insurance, renter's insurance, car insurance, things like that. So you could get that total. Then you could take out a monthly piece of that to help pay it off at the end of the year. If it only comes out once, or it comes out at the first of the year, if it only comes out once, you could split it up into months, and that's what is done here. So all you've got to do is divide that number by 12. So then when you actually want to make your balance sheet, that would look here. And balancing is meaning you don't ever want your amount that you're spending to outweigh your net income. So in your homework, you're going to be given a net income sample, or just an amount that you may make. So once you know that amount and you've taken taxes out of it and everything like that, that's how much you're going to subtract your total monthly expenses by. So all of these are the totals that we found per month. So if we add all of those up, 1,089 plus 1,078 plus 313.25. So that's going to mean per month. So let me zoom in on this. So that's going to be per month, or for this month, whatever, you would spend, it's already got the dollar sign. You would spend $2,480.25. So that means you're going to need to make a good portion over that to be able to really stick to this budget. So For example, say that you made, I don't know, if your net income was 4,000, you'd be good to go because you would have a good bit of extra money to pull out of that. So then this balance here, what this means is you take that monthly expense and subtract it by whatever this net income is, okay, or whatever you want your budget amount to be. Because if you want to make your budget amount lower than what you actually make, you could do that as well. So like if we made $4,000 a month and we were going to spend, this was all of our expenses, this number here, then our balance would be, or like our leftover money would be 1,519 and 75 cents. So that would mean we were like up that amount. So say for instance you made, say for instance you only made, I don't know, 2,500. That means that once you subtracted those, you would have minus 248, 75, 25. You'd only be left with $19.75. So in that instance, you may want to live life on the edge and only have $20 left over after all of your expenses come out. But I don't like doing that. So then you could come in and readjust some of these expenses like pocket money or things like that you had taken out. But pretty much this is what a budget sheet looks like. You take all your expenses that you'll have, you break them up into separate columns, and then you're able to actually figure out this total monthly expense number. And that allows you to compare that with what your net income is. And then you can get a balance of like, okay, this is how much I'll have left over. This is how much, if you accidentally plan for too much money or your total expenses are too expensive, you can see how much that number is. So when you're on your homework, this is kind of what you're going to do. You're going to be adding all these different numbers up and filling in these blanks. But we'll do some examples and go over this in class. But that'll be it for this video.